Hello and welcome back. I hope you're ready. I haven't read Job 1 to 5, so let's jump right into it. So, the book of Job was believed by some of the Bible scholars to have been written sometime between the flood and Abraham's time, and it's estimated to be about 400 years in between those two times. No one knows who wrote the book of Job. Some people say Moses, some people say Job it's himself, but yeah, no one knows for sure. Job and the characters in the book, his friends and all, lived in the town of Uz. Uz, I tried to do like some research, and some people speculate that it's present day Uzbekistan. I'm surprised I was able to say that word correctly. But the land of Uz from the Bible will see were inhabited or created by the grandsons of Shem. Shem was one of Noah's sons, and it existed after the dispersion, during the building of the Tower of Babel. So when God dispersed people from that one location all around the world, Shem's descendants ended up in Uz. So I guess that sort of helps to create that timeline where they said it was between the end of the flood and Abraham's time. From this book, we'll see that Satan actually patrols the earth, going back and forth, watching everything that goes on here. Why he's allowed to present himself along with the sons of God is something that left me scratching my head, because I'm like, dude, you are not part of the meeting. Why are you there? So I don't know. I mean, it just shows me that, does this have anything to do with like God's mercy? Like, even though he was not part of the sons of God anymore, he could still attend the meetings. I don't know. What stood out for me here, I mean, most people are familiar with the story of Job, and is one of like suffering, even in innocence, and at the end of the day, restoration. But sudden and unfortunate things that happen to Christians only do so because God permitted it. Job could only be touched by Satan because God allowed him to, but set him limits, and gave him limitations, like don't touch his life. And as we've come to know, if God permits it, like I said in my last takeaway, he will redeem the situation. And he did just that in the case of Job. The land of Uz, I guess I should stop saying Uz, I say Uz, was bordered by the Chaldeans and the Sabaeans, who were renowned raiders, if you read the Bible. But Job had lived there for a long time, and he became very rich. And that shows that God had really protected him from the things that were around him until, he permitted the enemy to take, to touch him. And obviously that one now sends those raiders to him. But think about how he had lived there for so long and had never sort of been raided by them, as far as we know. And let's come to his friends. And this was something that really just stood out to me, when they talk about like friendships and the people that you surround yourself with. When Job was mourning, when they showed up, they sat with him in silence for 7 days. And everything just seemed like good because, they were mourning with him. But when they opened their mouth and started talking, that's when the problem started. So it started with Eliphaz. Eliphaz, in his speech, suggested that Job may not have been as blameless as he appeared, and that's why he was suffering. But that's not true. We know that Job's suffering was as a result of God allowing the enemy to test him. So sometimes I think the takeaway I got from here is that sometimes, you just have to be wary about the people who surround you and people who speak into you. Because if you remember, Elias even said something as if he saw a vision from God and God told him lies. Anyway, coming to the character of God that I got from these chapters that I read, I said God is sovereign over evil. He limited Satan's actions he limited Satan's actions on Job's life. He's Lord over everything, and the enemy was only able to use acts of humans, like inciting the Chaldeans and the Sabaeans, as well as acts of nature. If you remember, Job's some what I think his what was destroyed, his cattle, I think, was destroyed by the fire from heaven. And I think maybe is that lightning, fire from heaven, we don't know. And the winds that destroyed his property and his family. But God is sovereign, and he is Lord over those acts. But it only happened because he permitted it to. So at the end of the day, the enemy, like the devil, didn't have the permission to like even incite the Chaldeans against them unless God permitted it. So I think that's a key takeaway, to just know that whatever it is that happens only happens because it's permitted by God, and we know that he's a good and merciful God, so he will redeem the situation. I hope you learned something from this, and I'd be interested to know if you have any other lessons from Job 1:5. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you again soon, where we'll read Job 8 to 11. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.